So someone's been out there making bold claims on YouTube, as kind of as they often do. Luckily, it's my pal doing it this time. The thing is, I think I fully agree with him. The OnePlus 12 is the best phone released in 2024. That's the sentiment, or that's the statement that my friend Ryan's making. But here's the deal. I think it's the best phone you can buy right now for tons of reasons. Firstly, I will say I've been highly critical of OnePlus or the OnePlus Oppo merger for a long time, but to be quite honest with you, despite the introduction of ColorOS over the True Blue Oxygen OS, OnePlus has been doing some really quiet things to make proper top-tier Android phones that are getting easier and easier to recommend. And this is the first time I can wholeheartedly, hand on heart, say that they have a device which you should just go out and buy. So I've used the OnePlus 12 on and off for what I'd consider the better part of maybe 6-7 months. I tend to shift my phone SIM, that is, into lots of devices, but I've floated between the Pixel 8 Pro, because the 9 Pro is now actually my main, and I was using that until at least August time, the OnePlus, and a little more recently, the S24 Ultra for some long-term looks. And I have to say, I feel super shocked to say that despite my initial indifferent perception to the OnePlus 12, it's been really, really impressive. I mean, I do love the others for different reasons, but if I had to pick one actual standout and one that I was going to spend my own hard-earned cash on, it's from OnePlus. It's not from Samsung, and probably not from Google with that new and improved Pixel 9. It's a phone that I really think had almost no fanfare when it was released earlier this year. It doesn't sell itself on AI functions, and even has a curved screen, something that I think is universally hated. And if you'd have asked me in December 2023, that same question, what was the best phone of the year, I was still using the S23 Ultra, and I think that the previous Galaxy phone was my favourite phone of probably the past 2 to 3 years, but we're not talking about that device, we're talking about this device. And to be honest, I don't think the core design is all that amazing. I still think it looks super sleek, and it has that really nice textured back that reminds me of, bear with me here because I think this is a bit of a stretch, a lot like shark skin, if you've ever felt shark skin, if you've ever been to an aquarium. It's sort of rough and smooth at the same time. Maybe a better way to describe it is soft sandpaper. That might be the best way to just tell you what it feels like to hold the OnePlus 12. It kind of shimmers and glints as well in the right lighting conditions. I will say that in its matte black colour, it's a super clean phone. Although there is another option, I think it's like an emeraldy, which might be a good option if you want a little bit of extra colour. Hey, I've got to say, I know that I'm privileged to say that I get to access some devices through my day job, but I haven't had a case or even a screen protector on this phone. There's absolutely no scratches or dings so far that I've noticed. I've been super careful with the OnePlus 12. I wouldn't necessarily call the phone outright the most durable, but it can withstand more than you probably expect it to. It does feel like a proper tank when you're holding it. I will note, obviously, curved screens, yeah, I get it. They're not as nice to use. They are damage prone because they're in the way. That's true on the OnePlus 12, and getting a good case for this is probably going to be difficult anyway. But boy, do you actually forget about those curves most of the time, because I think the quality of the screen is absolutely right up there. OnePlus is going toe-to-toe with the best of the best screens, which, to be quite honest with you, Oppo has been doing for a while anyway. I just love scrolling and tapping at the screen because the haptics in tandem with the display itself, they're also right up there with the best of the best. The optical in-display fingerprint scanner, which is easier to say than you probably would have thought, is fast, it's super accurate, and it just means that using the OnePlus 12 without any delays or holdups is beneficial. The alert slider on the side of the phone it's really nice, I think, as an addition to, or as a holdout addition, because you can quickly switch between those alert modes, something I do quite often when I'm, like I say, recording this now. All my phones are on silent. I think these are those little things that add up and they leave a really lasting impression. And of course, if you're a OnePlus fan who's therefore moved somewhere else, you're probably thinking, oh, I remember those things, I remember those little benefits. And they're all really tied together nicely here. Performance is not something that you even think about as well, because OnePlus has just chucked everything but the kitchen sink into this device. So you have complete and utter overkill for just about anything, save maybe doing some game emulation. Think Xbox latest Switch devices, which you can even try and do, but that kind of thing is still a little bit weak on mobile phones anyway. And I'm not the kind of person that's going to be running 3 apps concurrently, side by side or on screen, or even trying to render video out on my phone, but it's not something that I would personally do. But for what I do with my phone, it's pretty vanilla, save a bit of the emulator gaming from some of those old devices. I'm really, really content, and I know that there's so much overhead that it would do more or less anything I want it to anyway. I did notice the apps load super fast as well when I switched back from my Pixel. Yeah, faster storage clearly does make a difference, and it definitely feels like it when you're switching between applications quite rapidly, but I don't do this often again because it's just weird. Why would you open and close things quickly? I know you see those tests online and they just absolute freaks do it. But even things like file transfers, like ROMs, which is something I do, does take less time because the UFS 4.0 storage is just way faster. And it's one of those quality of life benefits that you don't necessarily think that you'll need. I will say I don't like being one of those guys, but it does make a difference, and it is something I wish more phones were doing, specifically Google, if you're listening. I just think it makes things a lot slicker, and it does make a big difference, hopefully long into the future, because it means things will transfer faster on your device. Chuck in that 16 gigabytes of RAM on the top model, which you can go and pick up. There is a virtual RAM option, but I can't remember what I've set that as. It's just more than enough to keep things ticking along nicely. I think in 2 to 3 years, this will be a decent performer, and putting in top tier specifications means that if you don't upgrade often, you're getting the best of the best for a long time to come. Therefore, you won't see that performance degradation long into the future. I have cooled massively as well on Color OS. I actually initially really hated it. Yeah, this isn't Oxygen OS, and I think that's why lots of us have really slept on OnePlus for a while since they made that transition. I completely get it, but there are little things here that are really nice additions, and I do like being able to do things, even something as simple as being able to customize the haptics or enable floating windows. The app clone function is ace for work and personal profiles too, if you do need to have, say, a personal work WhatsApp number. The notification section in quick settings could do with some work. I know there's a lot of, it definitely sides towards what iOS is trying to do, or it's not far off an iPhone clone, but I think it works. Credit where it's due. I think it's all massively been toned down over the last few years, and OnePlus is getting better at pushing out updates to the phones. This device that I'm using right now, as this video going live, it's still behind on the monthly patches by I think 1 month, but that's not as much as the company used to be. Updates are important, I know that, but it's still a concern in some respects given OnePlus's track record. They do tend to ditch the the previous generation for the latest. Do I trust the company in pushing updates to the devices? It is hard to say. I know they've made a lot of promises and 5 years of updates for this device, but I will give them the benefit for the doubt for now. It may change in future, and I may do another update at some point, lambasting them for not updating the phones. It's only now, though, that I think we're starting to see the fruits of some of the camera labours, the early camera labours. It's the first time that I can honestly, hand on heart, say that there aren't really any compromises with the OnePlus camera system. The Hasselblad colours are a personal favourite of mine. I really do love these when I come back to seeing them. I think they might be the most consistently pleasing, actually, without oversaturating or dulling a photo. I don't know if the tuning has changed all that drastically since the OnePlus 9 when the Hasselblad camera system was introduced. Maybe they've been refined or tweaked, but it is a while since I've actually used my OnePlus 9, so I can't really say without 100% certainty. The wide, the ultra wide, and even that 3x telephoto, they're all really decent. In fact, they're better than decent. While they're not the outright best, they're definitely right in the mix again. The images you'll get from these are sharp, clear, concise, there's plenty of detail, and again, there's those excellent colours thrown in for good measure, which is a really good recipe for a camera system. I think it's just overall a great combination for a point-and-shoot camera in your pocket, and that's something that I've always had problems with OnePlus. Again, not this time with the OnePlus 12. One of the only things I really haven't utilised that much, though, is the fast charging. I tend to just use any USB-C cable lying around and charge this phone when I'm at my desk during a regular day, so while I do love that there's 100-watt charging, it's absolutely mental when you see this. It's not something that I really benefit from on a day-to-day basis. I actually don't know what I've done with the power brick. I'm kind of looking around now thinking, where have I put it? But I think it's in a drawer somewhere when I unbox this. I have just so many things and so much crap that I need to sort out and trying to find it. I am going to do that, though, because I think it's absolutely boss that OnePlus is still giving out faster and faster chargers year over year when everyone else is culling them from the products. On top of that, the battery is really, really good on the OnePlus if you didn't already know that. I think that's it's in tandem with that Qualcomm Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 processor and all of the other benefits of a 5,500 mAh battery. You won't be charging that often is what I'm trying to say here. To summarise, there are loads of reasons to love the OnePlus 12, particularly the value proposition. I think that is absolutely unrivaled in the industry at this point in time. For almost half of that asking price of the S24 Ultra's baseline, which naturally you wouldn't pay at least almost a year down the line, you get raw power without any of those AI gimmicks or features shoehorned in to try and sell you something you're probably never going to use on a day-to-day basis. You can use Gemini, and that's probably enough AI for most people. If you're anti-AI though, maybe OnePlus is the way to go this year.